With 44 different countries squeezed into just 10 million square kilometers, Europe's landscape had shaped human civilization in profound ways, while harboring some interesting natural features, from towering mountains that are still growing taller every year, to countries that are actively creating new land where there was once only sea. The continent's geography tells a story of constant change and adaptation. But what exactly makes Europe so unique, and why does its landscape matter so much to global history? Well, that's what we're exploring today. In this video, we'll take you through 50 of the most interesting facts about European geography that might just change how you see this continent. But first, if you love learning about the craziest and most unbelievable places on Earth, make sure to subscribe and hit the bell icon so you never miss out on our latest videos. Number 1. Starting with the basics, Europe isn't technically a full continent. Unlike other continents with clear natural boundaries, Europe is actually the western peninsula of the larger Eurasian landmass. As a result, the separation between Europe and Asia is more cultural and historical than it is geological. This makes Europe the only continent that isn't fully defined by geography or its boundaries. At number 2, Europe's only desert is in Spain. The Tabernas Desert in Andalusia, Spain, covers about 280 square kilometers and receives less than 200 millimeters of rainfall annually. This semi-arid landscape looks so similar to the American Southwest that it became the filming location for numerous spaghetti westerns in the 1960s and 70s. So if you've ever watched The Good, the Bad and the Ugly, you've seen Europe's desert masquerading as the American frontier. Number 3. Europe's highest point is a dormant volcano. Mount Elbrus in Russia's North Caucasus stands at 5,642 meters, making it Europe's highest peak. But despite being Europe's tallest mountain, Elbrus doesn't get nearly the respect of the more photogenic Alps. At number 4, the Mediterranean Sea is slowly disappearing. Did you know that the Mediterranean Sea is gradually shrinking as Africa moves northward toward Europe at a rate of about 2.5 centimeters per year? In fact, in approximately 50 million years, the Mediterranean will completely disappear as the African and Eurasian plates collide, creating a mountain range where the sea once was. Number 5. The Netherlands is growing larger every year. As it turns out, the Dutch saying, "God created the world and the Dutch created the Netherlands," isn't just clever wordplay. There is some truth in that statement. They're the only people who can legitimately claim to have made their country from scratch. This is because the Netherlands continues to expand its territory through land reclamation. Particularly, the massive Zuiderzee Works project transformed an entire inlet of the North Sea into freshwater IJsselmeer Lake, adding nearly 1,500 square kilometers to the country. Number 6. The Ural Mountains form Europe's edge but barely feel like a border. Most geographers agree that the Ural Mountains mark Europe's eastern frontier with Asia. These ancient mountains stretch for about 1,600 kilometers from the Arctic Ocean to Kazakhstan. Formed around 300 million years ago, they once stood as tall as the Himalayas, but have been worn down by millions of years of erosion. Number 7. 3 different countries claim to have Europe's geographic center. Lithuania has erected a monument near the village of Panuskes, marking what they calculate as Europe's geographic center. Not to be outdone, Belarus and Ukraine have competing monuments claiming the same distinction. These contradictory claims stem from different definitions of Europe's boundaries. It's like 3 siblings, all claiming to be the middle child. Technically, they can't all be right, but good luck convincing any of them they're wrong. Number 8. Norway's coastline is so complex, it's difficult to measure accurately. With its countless fjords, islands and inlets, Norway's coastline stretches an estimated 25,148 kilometers, equivalent to circling the equator more than halfway. If you were to measure it with greater precision, accounting for every tiny inlet, the length would increase dramatically due to the coastline paradox, potentially reaching over 100,000 kilometers. Number 9. The Vatican City is smaller than most theme parks, but operates as a fully independent country. Covering just 49 hectares, the Vatican City is the smallest internationally recognized sovereign state globally. To put that into perspective, you could fit Vatican City into New York's Central Park 7 times with room to spare. It's the only country where you can walk the entire border during your lunch break and still have time to grab a snack. Number 10. Iceland sits on the boundaries between 2 tectonic plates. The country is located directly on the Mid-Atlantic Ridge, where the North American and Eurasian tectonic plates are pulling apart at about 2.5 centimeters per year. At the Thingvellir National Park, visitors can walk between the continental plates, standing with 1 foot in North America and 1 in Europe. Number 11. Europe's oldest lake is also one of its deepest. Lake Ohrid, straddling the border between North Macedonia and Albania, is estimated to be 1.36 million years old, making it one of the oldest lakes in the world. At 288 meters deep, it's also one of Europe's deepest lakes. Its isolation has created a unique ecosystem with over 200 endemic species found nowhere else on Earth. At number 12, Norway's fjords are almost as deep as the Grand Canyon. Norway's Sognefjord Fjord, nicknamed the King of Fjords, extends 204 kilometers inland and plunges to depths of 1,308 meters below sea level. That makes it almost as deep as the Grand Canyon, which has a maximum depth of about 1,829 meters from rim to river. Number 13. Europe has a lake that disappears seasonally. Lake Cerknica in Slovenia is Europe's largest intermittent lake, covering up to 38 square kilometers when full, but completely disappearing during dry seasons. The lake sits in a karst field with numerous sinkholes that drains its water underground when rainfall is scarce. Local farmers have adapted ingeniously, fishing during the wet season and growing crops on the fertile lakebed when it's dry. Number 14. The Danube flows through more countries than any other river in the world. The Danube River flows through 10 different countries: Germany, Austria, Slovakia, Hungary, Croatia, Serbia, Bulgaria, Romania, Moldova, and Ukraine. This makes it the most international river on the planet and a critical transportation system through Central and Eastern Europe. Number 15. Europe is warming faster than the global average. The continent is heating up at a rate of approximately 1.5 times faster than the global average, with particularly dramatic warming in the Arctic and mountain regions. Since the 1980s, Europe has seen a temperature increase of about 0.5 degrees centigrade per decade, leading to retreating glaciers, more frequent heat waves, and changing precipitation patterns. Number 16. The Alps are still growing taller. The ongoing collision between the African and Eurasian tectonic plates pushes the Alps upward at approximately 1 to 2 millimeters per year. At this rate, in a million years, they'll be a kilometer taller, which means those Swiss ski resorts are going to need much longer chairlifts. Number 17. Europe's longest cave system is in Switzerland. The Hairlock Cave System in Switzerland stretches for over 200 kilometers of mapped passages, making it the longest cave system in Europe and one of the largest in the world. If you were to walk through the entire cave system, it would be like hiking from London to Brighton, but in complete darkness, through narrow passageways, and often waist-deep in freezing water. Number 18. The Strait of Gibraltar is narrowing. The Strait of Gibraltar, which separates Europe from Africa, is only 13 kilometers wide at its narrowest point. However, due to the African plate pushing northward, the gap is narrowing at approximately 2 centimeters per year. In about 600,000 years, the strait could close completely, turning the Mediterranean into a landlocked sea. Number 19. Europe has an underwater waterfall. The Mediterranean overflow is a massive underwater waterfall located in the Strait of Gibraltar, where denser Mediterranean water flows beneath the less saline Atlantic water. This underwater cascade drops about 300 meters and moves at a speed of up to 8 kilometers per hour, making it one of the most powerful currents in the ocean. Number 20. The North European plain enabled the spread of agriculture and civilization, stretching from France to Russia. The North European plain is a vast lowland area with fertile soil and a temperate climate. This expansive plain allowed agricultural practices to spread rapidly across Europe, beginning around 6000 BCE, facilitating population growth and cultural development. Unfortunately, it also made an ideal superhighway for invading armies. From Roman legions to Napoleonic cavalry to German panzers, it's the geographical equivalent of leaving your front door wide open. Number 21. Bergen, Norway is one of the rainiest cities in Europe. Bergen receives around 2,250 millimeters of rainfall annually, comparable to tropical locations like Singapore. This extreme precipitation occurs because the city sits on the windward side of mountains, where Atlantic air masses are forced upward, cooling and releasing their moisture. Number 22. The Polish warm pole defies its latitude. In this region of Poland, a narrow strip of land experiences spring-like temperatures even in the depths of winter. Local temperatures can be up to 10 degrees centigrade warmer than surrounding areas due to a unique combination of geothermal activity and air circulation patterns, creating a natural greenhouse effect. So, while the rest of the country shivers in winter parkas, folks in this region can sometimes get away with light jackets in January. Number 23. The Po Valley in Italy is sinking. The Po Valley, Italy's most important agricultural region, is subsiding at a rate of up to 7 millimeters per year in some areas. This sinking is caused by a combination of groundwater extraction, natural compaction of sediments, and the weight of buildings. Venice is particularly affected by this phenomenon, with regular flooding becoming more frequent and severe. Number 24. London is farther north than most Canadian cities. London sits at 51.5 degrees north latitude, farther north than major Canadian cities like Vancouver, Montreal, and Toronto. This surprises many people because London's climate is much milder, which is a direct result of the warming effect of the Gulf Stream and North Atlantic Drift. Without these ocean currents, Londoners would be trading their umbrellas for snow shovels and their rain boots for heavy winter parkas. Number 25. Mount Etna has been erupting since 1500 BCE. Sicily's Mount Etna is Europe's most active volcano and has been in almost continuous eruption since at least 1500 BCE. That is over 3,000 years. Standing 3,329 meters tall, it's also the largest active volcano in Europe. Its frequent eruptions have created a fertile agricultural region around its base, where vineyards and orchards thrive. Number 26. The Gulf Stream delivers the equivalent heat of 1 million power plants to Europe. The Atlantic Meridional Overturning Circulation is a major system of ocean currents in the Atlantic that acts like a conveyor belt, transporting warm surface water northward from the tropics and cold deep water southward. This process plays a crucial role in distributing heat around the globe. The AMOC, which includes the Gulf Stream, delivers an estimated 1.2 petawatts of heat to Europe, equivalent to the output of 1 million power stations running simultaneously. This oceanic conveyor belt raises Western Europe's temperatures by as much as 10 degrees centigrade compared to equivalent latitudes elsewhere. Number 27. Europe has a river that flows underground for most of its length. The Reka River in Slovenia flows above ground for 54 kilometers before disappearing into the Scottian caves. It continues underground for 34 kilometers before re-emerging as the Timavo River in Italy. This underground portion creates one of the world's largest subterranean canyons. Number 28. The Matterhorn is an African mountain. The iconic Matterhorn on the Swiss-Italian border formed from rocks that were once part of the African continent. These rocks were thrust upward when the African and Eurasian plates collided, making this famous alpine peak geologically African in origin. So you can say this symbol of Swiss identity is actually an African immigrant that arrived about 50 million years ago. Number 29. Europe has over 200 active volcanoes. Between Iceland, Italy, Greece, and other regions, Europe boasts over 200 active volcanoes. Iceland alone has 30 active volcanic systems, while Italy has 3 of the world's most famous active volcanoes. For a continent associated with quaint villages and ancient castles, Europe sure has a lot of mountains that occasionally spew molten rock. Number 30. The Camargue in France is home to over 400 bird species. The Rhine River Delta, known as the Camargue, covers 930 square kilometers of wetlands, lagoons, and salt flats in southern France. This unique ecosystem is home to over 400 species of birds, including one of the few European flamingo populations, and the famous white Camargue horses. It's the closest thing Europe has to the Everglades, just with better cheese and wine options. Number 31. The Black Forest is actually getting larger. Germany's Black Forest, Schwarzwald, has been expanding over the past few decades. After centuries of deforestation for agriculture and timber, stricter environmental regulations and rural depopulation have allowed the forest to reclaim abandoned farmland, increasing its total area by about 0.5% annually. Number 32. Mont Blanc has more than 100 climbing routes to its summit. Mont Blanc, standing at 4,807 meters on the French-Italian border, is Western Europe's highest peak. What makes it remarkable is not just its height, but its accessibility. It has over 100 different climbing routes of varying difficulty levels to reach its summit. Despite being one of the most popular mountaineering destinations in the world, with approximately 20,000 climbers attempting to reach its summit annually, it remains dangerous due to unpredictable weather conditions, avalanches, and crevasses. Number 33. The Netherlands has the highest concentration of museums in the world. With approximately 1,100 museums within its relatively small territory, the Netherlands has one of the highest densities of museums in Europe and possibly the world. This impressive concentration means you can find museums dedicated to art, history, cheese, tulips, windmills, and numerous other subjects throughout the country. Number 34. The Mediterranean Sea contains almost no tides. Unlike most seas and oceans, the Mediterranean experiences minimal tide movement, typically less than 50 centimeters. This is due to the narrow connection with the Atlantic Ocean through the Strait of Gibraltar, which restricts tidal influence of the Moon on the Mediterranean waters. Due to this, Mediterranean beachgoers never have to worry about their towels floating away at high tide or their sandcastles being destroyed, because once you set up your beach spot, it's yours all day. Number 35. Europe's largest glacier is rapidly shrinking. Geological in Iceland is Europe's largest glacier by volume, covering about 8,100 square kilometers and reaching a thickness of 900 meters in places. However, it's losing about 1.5 cubic kilometers of ice annually due to climate change, having shrunk by 10% since 1980. Number 36. Italy's geography includes an active supervolcano. The Campi Flegrei, or Phlegraean Fields near Naples, is a massive caldera 13 kilometers across. This supervolcano last erupted in 1538, but has been showing increased activity since 2005. An eruption would potentially affect millions of people living in the densely populated surrounding area. Number 37. Andorra is the only country in the world co-ruled by the president of another country. Andorra, a tiny principality nestled in the Pyrenees between France and Spain, has a unique political arrangement. It's a co-principality governed jointly by two co-princes, the Bishop of Urgell in Spain and the President of France. This shared leadership system has existed since 1278, making it one of the oldest continuously functioning governing systems in the world. Number 38. The Swiss Alps have extraordinary snowfall patterns. The Swiss Alps experience some of Europe's most extreme snowfall variations over remarkably short distances. While certain alpine valleys receive moderate precipitation, adjacent mountain slopes can accumulate over 10 meters of snow annually due to orographic lifting. To put things into perspective, 10 meters of snow is enough to completely bury a 3-story building. It's no wonder Switzerland invented both the snow plow and the fondue pot, one to clear all that snow and the other to warm up afterwards. Number 39. Europe has a warm water coral reef. The Mingulay Reef Complex off Scotland's western coast is the only known coral reef in European waters. Unlike tropical reefs that thrive in shallow, clear water, this cold water coral reef exists at depths between 100 and 200 meters and supports a rich biodiversity despite the northern latitude. Number 40. Finland gains about 7 square kilometers of land every year. Due to post-glacial rebound, the rising of land that was depressed by the weight of ice sheets during the last ice age, Finland is growing by approximately 7 square kilometers annually. This gradual uplift means harbors must be dredged regularly, and coastlines are constantly changing. Number 41. Europe has a desert that's completely underground. The Moravian Karst in the Czech Republic contains an extensive system of underground caverns, including the Medsoka Abyss, which is 138 meters deep. Some of these cave systems contain sections so dry they qualify as underground deserts, with humidity levels below 50% despite the region's temperate climate above. Number 42. The Caspian Sea is disappearing at an alarming rate. The Caspian Sea, which borders European Russia, is shrinking by about 7 centimeters annually due to evaporation and reduced inflow from rivers. This inland sea has already lost about 1.5 meters of depth since the 1990s, threatening unique ecosystems and coastal economies. At this rate, future generations might need to rename it the Caspian Puddle. Number 43. Istanbul is one of the few cities in the world that straddles 2 continents. The Bosporus Strait cuts through Istanbul, placing the western portion of the city in Europe and the eastern portion in Asia. This makes Istanbul unique as one of the only major cities in the world situated on 2 different continents, with bridges and tunnels connecting the European and Asian sides. Number 44. Europe's watershed backbone runs through Switzerland. The Alpine Ridge in Switzerland forms a continental divide where water flows either to the North Sea, the Mediterranean, or the Black Sea, depending on which side of the mountain it falls. This hydrological triple junction at the Gotthard Massif is one of the most important watershed boundaries in Europe. Number 45. The Wadden Sea disappears and reappears twice daily. The Wadden Sea, along the coast of Denmark, Germany, and the Netherlands, is an intertidal zone covering over 10,000 square kilometers. During low tide, vast areas of seafloor are exposed, allowing people to walk across what was underwater just hours before, a practice known locally as wadlopen, or mudwalking. This might be the only place where walking on the seabed is a normal afternoon activity. Number 46. Europe has a region where three major climates converge. The area around the Bay of Biscay, where France, Spain, and the Atlantic Ocean meet, represents a rare convergence of three major climate types: oceanic, Mediterranean, and continental. This climate crossroads creates exceptional biodiversity and agricultural conditions not found elsewhere in Europe. Number 47. Gibraltar is home to Europe's only free-ranging primates. The Barbary macaques in Gibraltar are Europe's only free-ranging, non-human primates. Originally from North Africa, these macaques gained special significance during World War II, when Winston Churchill ordered their protection and reinforcement, believing the British would maintain control of Gibraltar only as long as the monkeys remained. These famous residents are now carefully protected and have become iconic symbols of the territory, making them perhaps the only primates ever included in military protection orders. Number 48. Europe's oldest tree has survived for over 1,200 years. The olive tree of Vouvez in Crete, Greece, is estimated to be at least 2,000 to 4,000 years old and still produces olives today. This ancient tree was already producing fruit during the height of the Roman Empire and has survived countless wars, climate changes, and human civilizations. Number 49. The water in Montenegro's Blue Grotto glows an electric blue. The Blue Grotto on Montenegro's Adriatic coast contains water that glows an intense blue due to the way sunlight refracts through an underwater opening. This natural phenomenon creates an otherworldly blue illumination throughout the cave that appears to make the water itself glow. And to wrap it all up, at number 50, Europe's geography directly influenced the development of democracy. Ancient Greece's mountainous terrain and fragmented coastline divided the land into naturally isolated regions. This geographical fragmentation promoted the development of independent city-states rather than a single empire, creating conditions where democratic systems could develop a political legacy that eventually spread throughout Europe and beyond. So we might have mountains to thank for democracy. So there you have it. Which of these facts made your jaw drop? Let me know in the comments. And if you enjoyed this, be sure to like, subscribe, and hit the bell icon so you never miss out on more mind-blowing geography facts. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.